Howdy everyone, old Gare out here at the Fishing Shack, and welcome to this week's Fishing Chums Fishing Report. First day of summer, first weekend of summer. Boy, it's going to be hot and muggy here in the Ozarks. We always welcome in summer this way. And so be sure to take plenty of fluids out on that water this weekend. A lot of water, okay? We have a pretty good show for you. Some good reports from Truman area out on the main lake. Hey, a few boys that's been going out are really catching some nice crappie. Down below the dam at the upper end of the lake of the Ozarks, they've been picking up some really nice catfish and a lot of crappie, a lot of shorts, but they're picking up crappie. And we have a good report from Stockton, Bull Shoals, Table Rock, and we're going to start off here in a minute at Beaver Lake. So we've got some good reports. I want to thank all of our new viewers out there. My gosh, welcome to Fishing Chums. And if you're new today, be sure to subscribe. Brandon's got this up here. Just push that button because it's absolutely free. We love to have our new subscribers. That way you won't miss out on anything. So welcome to the family for our new subscribers. And thank everybody for watching the program. A lot of views over on YouTube and a lot of views on Facebook. Gosh, a lot of you viewers. Thank you very much. And to all of our groups, thank you, thank you. Love our groups. All right, we have some pretty doggone good fishing to talk about for the first day of summer, so let's go fishing.
Fish and Chums!
Hey, by the way, stick with us at the end of the program. Brandon and I have selected some great photos to share with you. We scroll through these photos, a lot of kids stuff, a lot of fun stuff coming your way. That's at the end of the program. Let's go out to Beaver Lake. Love Beaver Lake. The water temperature out there this morning was 87 degrees. And there's been some pretty good bass fishing taking place at Beaver. In the morning hours, the boys have been going out pitching topwater baits. Seems like if there's not much of a ripple, real quiet, the popping baits like a pop R has been working good. And then if there's a little ripple on the water, they've been using some spooks out there, walking that dog, picking up some fish. And once that sun gets up, they've been using a variety of bait. If there's a little bit of wind, they've been going to the points and secondary points on square-bill crankbaits fishing, catching some bass. And also they're still using swim baits out there, and of course pitching jigs as well. So Beaver looks good for the upcoming weekend. In fact, look at Chris Ward was out just a couple days ago, and Chris picked up this really nice bass, and they've been picking up some nice quality fish out at Beaver. By the way, the main lake, I understand some stripers are being caught. They're going a little bit deeper, 50, 60 feet of water. Some hybrids have been caught out there. And crappie, a few people crappie fishing, finding those deep water brush piles, 18 to 20, 24 feet of water, picking up some crappie out at Beaver. Let's go to Rock, Table Rock. Love Table Rock. Water temperature out there just a little bit ago was 78 degrees. It was around 80, 81, but it's dropped just a little bit. With this humidity and warm weather moving into the weekend, it will climb. And we want to start things off. My old buddy Scott Pringle was out the other day, just yesterday, and look at this beautiful bass that Scott caught. Really nice fish. And Scott's my old walleye fishing buddy. He said, Gary, I had a bigger fish right up to the boat, a big walleye, huge walleye, and gosh, he flipped off right at the last second. Well, you have his address. We'll go catch that fish, Scott, that's for sure. Nice bass, Scott, nice bass. So the bass fishing's been pretty good. In fact, Josh Moorhead was out the other day as well, a couple of days ago, and picked up this beautiful bass. Just shows you some really quality bass are being caught at Table Rock. This is for sure. Now, in the morning hours, you want to get out there with that topwater bait early in the morning. And if it's real quiet, go to that popping bait like a pop R. But if there's a little bit of wind, a riffle on the water, I'd recommend going to a spook or maybe a junior spook and whopper ploppers. They've been picking up some fish on these. But anyway, good topwater fishing in the morning hours at Table Rock and the evening hours as well. Okay, once that sun starts coming up, if there's a wind going into some points, hey, get up on those points in shallow water right after topwater fishing and use a square-billed crankbait. You might be able to pick up a few bass. And as that sun keeps coming up, start going out with your electronics and look on the bottom or in the middle for shad, big schools of shad. Look for individual fish or pockets of fish. That's when you want to go to the drop shot. And hey, the Ned Rig's got some good fish out at Table Rock this week as well. And I tell you what, they've been flipping some jigs and some of that new brush or just off that brush piles. And they've been picking up some fish as well at Table Rock on some of the windy points, sometimes with square bill crankbaits during the day. So kind of a mixed bag. But I tell you, you want to have some fun. I mentioned it on last week's program. Go up the James River. Get yourself some like 9 or 10 inch plastic worms. Plum seems to be a good color right now. And use it Texas style. You don't have to have a big weight on that slip sinker, that Texas style sinker. Go to a light weight. Pitch that up towards the bank and then just swim it right up to a brush pile, tree, limbs, whatever. And then when you get to that, drop it. And boy, that bass is in there. He's going to come out and grab that big plastic worm. So try that up the James. You know, the James, I was out there yesterday, it's really green. We've got a real green color. And this should be starting to take care of itself, and we should be getting clearer water. But right now, this weekend, looks like it's going to be pretty green colored water out there. And see, other than that, bass fishing, they've been flipping some jigs on the points and dragging jigs on the points and secondary points, and flipping some of the docks as well. So Table Rock looks pretty good for bass fishing. Nice quality fish being caught out there right now. And keep your eye out on morning hours, because some white bass have been coming up, surfacing, schooling, and that's always a lot of fun. So try this. And the crappie fishing's been fair. They've been going back up in the creek areas about halfway. Seems to be some shad back in there and fishing down around 15 to 18 feet of water in the brush, picking up a few crappie at Table Rock and some around some of the docks as well. And so walleye, okay. Well, Scott lost that giant walleye there yesterday, but they have been picking up some walleye. A variety of ways you can catch walleye at Table Rock right now, on the points, secondary points, on the edge of the flats. Flicker shads, flicker minnows. I had somebody ask me the other day on email, what size would I recommend right now? Personally, I like the number 9 flicker shad or flicker minnow. And I tell you what, that gets down around 12, 14 feet of water. And some people are using 7s, but 9 is my personal preference. So you control the points or the secondary points or cast. And another good way, if you're with your electronics, if you're finding some walleye near the bottom, go to the spoons. Spoons catch a lot of walleye at Table Rock. So try spoon fishing, get out in 15, 25, 30, 35 feet of water and jerk that spoon. Oh, that can be a lot of fun. And we're picking up some fish on night crawlers as well. I like to use the night crawlers kind of like just on a small hook and weight, and kind of like a drop shot with a night crawler. That will pick up fish out there as well. So Table Rock looks pretty good for the upcoming weekend, but boy, that water is green. Wow. Okay, let's go out to Lake Taneycomo. I like to call it Lake Perrycomo. A lot of you people have no idea who Perry Como is. He was an old singer. But Lake Taneycomo, the good lake, that dam at Table Rock, deep. And when that water comes through those turbines, it's cold. 45 degrees out at Taneycomo this morning. And, we're always talking about the trout fishing on Taneycomo, rightfully so. It's a great trout fishery. But did you know there's some really good bass fishing at Lake Taneycomo? You bet there is. There's been some big bass. Several bass over 9 and 10. I know of an 11-pounder caught there one time. But look at our old buddy Bart Alexander was out at Taneycomo just a couple of days ago. Look at this beautiful bass. It went nearly 7 pounds, over 6.5 pounds. Good going, Bart. Great fish. And, there's some good places to fish for bass. I like going down this time of the year. I'll go down by Power Sight Dam, go back in those necks, those creek areas, those big old cove areas, and flip some plastic worms. That's a lot of fun. And, the moss can come up this time of the year at Taneycomo, those moss beds down there in that area. And I'll take a 6-inch plastic worm with a real light slip sinker, Texas style, flip it up on top of the moss, and swim it to the edge of the moss and drop my rod tip, and bam, those bass in the area, they're going to hit that. So Taneycomo could be good for bass fishing this weekend. And Bart, nice fish, my friend, nice bass. All right, of course, trout fishing's been pretty good. Now, they have not been running, I understand, too much water in the morning hours. It's been more of an afternoon run. If they want to go drifting, you may want to look at this. Who knows what they're going to do this weekend. But drift fishing, when they are running those turbines in the afternoon hours, the Berkeley Power eggs have been good. That white, like I mentioned on last week's program, pink, chartreuse, orange, but white and pink has been the best by far. And they've been drifting. And some people have just been kind of anchoring off the edge of the current and using night crawlers catching fish. Other people have been throwing some spoons and the jigs, though, is the main thing. When they're not running water, just go to 2 or 4 pound test. And I'm always talking about this with light jigs, and you can have a ball. You get that jig down, it takes a little time for that light jig to go down, but man, slow roll that in, you can catch fish at Lake Taneycomo. All right, let's go out to Bull Shoals. Water temperature was 76 degrees. It's still up over 25 feet. But they've been picking up some nice bass. The early morning bite has been pretty good for top water. They have been using some, just like Table Rock and the other lakes, they've been using some whopper ploppers. Popping baits have been working. Spooks have been working. And some nice bass have been caught out there. And when the sun gets up, get to that old shoreline that's covered with about 25 feet of water right now and work some baits there, some slow roll, some grubs. This has been working. Also, up on some of the points of the bluffs, they've been working some square bill crankbaits, and they've been fishing some jigs, of course. Your plastics around some of that brush piles have been doing real good as well. So Table Rock Bull Shoals looks pretty good for bass fishing this weekend. And so you may want to try some bass fishing there. You know, they've been picking up some nice walleye out at Bull Shoals as well. Look at Daniel. He was out just a couple days ago and picked up this beautiful walleye on Bull Shoals. And what they've been doing out at Bull Shoals, they've been using the flicker shad. And they have been trolling the flicker shad and off the points and secondary points and some of the flats picking up fish. And I tell you what, they've been using that spoon as well. And of course, Nightcrawler Harnesses has been picking up a few walleye at Bull Shoals. So might try Bull Shoals this weekend. Let's go out to Stockton. At water temperature was 78 degrees this morning, and they've been picking up some crappie out there. The boys have been going back about halfway back in the creek arms and looking with their electronics and finding some schools of shad. And they've been trolling small flicker minnows, flicker shad. That jointed flicker minnow, and that's been doing pretty good. It's not real big, but they've been trolling that through those shad and picking up nice crappie. Some people have been getting their limits, and some people have been using some minnows out there as well, but trolling seems to be good at Table Rock Stockton for crappie. And out on the main lake, out on the big points, around 25, 30, 35 feet of water, they've been using some night crawlers for walleye at Stockton. They've been using just a jig head, like a 1/8 ounce jig head, and using a night crawler or a half night crawler. Some people are casting and bouncing that off the points. Other people have been drifting it, and some people have been slow trolling it with their electric motors, picking up fish. So you might pick up some walleye at Stockton for the upcoming weekend. A few cats being caught out there as well. And the bass fishing is getting stronger, like I said on last week's program at Stockton. Top water fishing has been pretty good in the morning hours, so check this out. Pomme de terre, water temperature was 75 degrees out there. And speaking of cat fishing, they've been picking up some nice cat at Pomme de terre and using night crawlers or shad. Now the main lake, not too many people fishing out there. In the early morning, there's a little of a topwater bass bite and crappie bite. If you can find some good brush piles, you can get down there in around 15 to 18 feet of water with a minnow, just kind of straight lining a minnow, picking up some fish at Pommy. All right, let's go out to Truman. Water temperature was 76 out there this morning. As I mentioned on last week's program, the lake is high. It's still high, over 30 feet high. And the big problem is finding a place to put the boat in. But if you want to fish Truman bad enough, you'll find a place to put the boat in, off the road beds or whatever. And some of the old boys have been going out the last few days, really caught some nice crappie, good quality fish as well. And as I mentioned on last week's program, is big cedar trees or the big willow trees. And the ones that are in deep water, getting out there, they may be in 30 feet of water, but getting out there and experimenting on your depth. Get out there with a minnow, jigging minnow, minnow, and just keep coming up, and you'll find that magic depth. And they've been picking up some nice crappie at Truman. Catfishing's been pretty good too there, but a lot of water out there. Fish are moving all the time, but if you can find them, you can have a ball. So try Truman. Now below the dam, well, they've been at the upper end of Lake the Ozarks, below the dam at Truman. They've been catching a lot of crappie at times, but a lot of shorts this week, a lot of shorts, throwback fish, but they are picking up some keepers as well. So if you just want to go catch fish, that area might be good for the upcoming weekend. In fact, I think it will be. And there's been some big cats caught. In fact, out at Truman, look at here. Look at our old buddy Sam Paxson. He was out just a couple days ago and picked up this 26-pound catfish on rod and reel. Boy, that's a lot of fun. Good going, Sam. He's always catching big fish. And that's below the dam at Truman, the upper end of Table Rock. Shad seems to be the best bait for your catch right now. So good going, Sam. And they're picking up a walleye occasionally down below the dam, and also a few white bass and hybrids. All right, let's go to Lake of the Ozark. Look, my old buddy David Davis was out just a couple days ago, and picked up these crappie. Caught a limit of fish. Good going, David. And that water temperature out there was 78 degrees this morning, and they have been picking a lot of crappie up at times. Some people are struggling, but the other people are going to the points, the brushy points, and they've been doing jigs or minnows, and other people have been trolling these areas, picking up crappie at Lake the Ozarks. Bass fishing's been pretty good on the points, secondary points. Find a brush, use some plastic jigs or tails jigs out there, picking up some fish. And they've been picking up some fish on swim baits, and at times in the early morning hours, a few topwater fish are being caught at Lake the Ozarks, and they have been picking up some fish just on plastic worms, Texas style, as well at the lake. Well, that's our big little show for the day. We've got some great photos coming your way. Hey, by the way, I want to thank you very much for being with us. Like and share. And you've already subscribed. Thank you very much. And if you'd like to send us some information, photos, ask any questions, go to our email. Email us at fishingchums@gmail.com. First weekend of summer, guys. Take plenty of water. Get out and get bit. Enjoy yourself in the great Ozark outdoors. And roll those photos. See you next week, everybody.